I never lose, either I win or I learn. Those are my only options, to whomever it may concern. About to be a hot topic, play with fire, you get burned. Ain't nobody give me nothing, whatever I got, better I earn. I never lose, but I learn. I either win or I
Thank you for
learn.
listening to the
Those are my
Strong
only
AF podcast.
This episode is brought to you by our Weight Loss Transformation Masterclass. After spending over 30 years of my life being obese and dealing with chronic constipation issues, I decided to get my certification in fitness, nutrition, and wellness to empower myself to lose over 70 pounds and keep it off.
Watching my brother and dad have a heart attack within weeks of each other, I knew I had to make a change, but I wasn't sure what to do. After researching and studying to get my certification in fitness, nutrition, and weight loss management, I was able to use this knowledge I gained to lose over 80 pounds and keep it off.
Now we're passionate about helping others to avoid the same mistakes that we made and changing the world through holistic health and wellness. So our approach is focused on mindset because overall health, including our mental health, means everything to us.
Imagine waking up with more energy than you imagined possible, no longer worrying about digestive issues and bloating.
We're here to show you how to ditch the fad diets and make small changes in your lifestyle, which will make a massive impact on your quality of life.
These are changes that you will be able to pass on for generations to come. Go to veganstrongandfit.com/masterclass today to sign up for your free masterclass and get started on a happier, healthier journey.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Strong AF podcast. I'm Ashley.
I'm Yuri.
And today we have Ricky Prestige Leverett Jr., who is a 3-time self-published author of Mind Alignment, Wake Up Your Stolen Greatness Through Mind Power. I'll get it together here. He is a professional metaphysical motivational speaker, ordained minister of metaphysics, and father. He has spoken on a variety of topics for audiences both big and small, ranging from corporations to small cultural events, and he specializes in mind science, Black history, motivation, metaphysics, and psychology. He studied metaphysics under Dr. Paul Leon, master at the University of Metaphysics, and Ricky has been teaching, speaking, and studying mind science for over 10 years. And now, what makes him strong? Well, self-realization and knowledge of self is what makes Ricky strong. So we're so glad to have you on. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join us here.
For sure. I'm excited about this and I'm glad to be a part of you guys' platform. I appreciate it.
Pleasure's all ours.
Yuri's been following you for a while now, and he was like, listen, when we start this new season, I know exactly who we need to have on here.
Nice. I didn't even know.
Yeah, that's the power of TikTok.
Right.
Certain stuff starts popping up on your For You page, and then I'm big on manifestation, African culture, and things like that. And then I don't remember what exact one, but then one of them caught my attention. I started listening to it. I was like, yep. Like, that's deep right there. And then I started clicking on some of your other ones, and then I was like, this brother knows what he's talking about. And then we started talking about the next season of the podcast. And then I told her, I was like, hey, I'm about to start sending out some invites to certain people. And you were one of the first ones. You responded real quick, which surprised me. I shot that out there. You hit me back. I was like, yeah, he's down.
Yeah, I'm a real person. I was glad to see your email. I said, okay, this works for me for sure. I listened to a couple of you guys' podcasts, and I like your message. I like the health aspect of it, the wellness aspect of it, because it's different angles we have to hit this at. So you guys are playing a major role in the shift as well, dealing with healthcare and giving people with, in other fields a chance to speak to your audience. So anytime someone's like that, and I agree with what they're on, I'm going to be on there.
Thank you.
For sure. Yeah, for sure.
That's great. Yuri, he's been sending me a lot of your TikToks, and one of them you were talking about, how to know when your manifestation is near. And it was crazy because so we just moved into this house. And what we really needed in this house was a separate office space, because in our last place, it was very open. I work from home full time, plus we have our business. And so it wasn't, allowing us to have what we needed. And then also we needed a separate gym space outside of our garage. And that's everything that we have in this home. And so it actually started in 2020, right? Christmas of 2020. Mm-hmm. We sat down and we were like, here's all the debt that we have to pay off. And here's the type of home that we need to really make this business grow. How do we get there? And our plan for it is not what happened. The housing market skyrocketed. We were like, man, if we sell our home, then we can go ahead and pay off all of this debt. And we can get into the house that we actually need to be able to grow our business. And so it was just like it fell into place within months after that. And everything really lined up, like you were talking about, like everything just lines up for you. And that's exactly what happened. It wasn't necessarily the way that we envisioned it going, but it aligned with our manifestation and it just fell into place for us.
Yeah, and that's a lovely story. And manifestation is one of the main things that I do focus on, because it's an actual principles and laws to the way that this universe operates or this world operates. And if you follow those principles and you're in tune with it, and you don't even really have to be aware, because it's going to work either way. But when you're aware of it, you can deliberately, figure out what you want to do. And ever since I've learned that, that's all I've been doing. And I noticed as of late, it's been a lot faster. So before it was like, okay, you might have a goal or a plan and you put it out there and it may come in steps, little small steps. Now it's like boom, 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 boom. And it's obvious what it is. And I don't know if that's because more people are being deliberate or if that's because that's part of what the time we're in with the shifting of the planet with that. But yeah, that's the key. And for your audience, that's the key to manifestation is knowing what you want initially, writing it out, repeating it to yourself enough times where, you're being deliberate and intentional with what you're trying to do. And the next step is action. And some way, somehow, the universe has a way of working that into your favor, either if it's good or bad. You're still going to, it's going to come to pass eventually. It's going to manifest.
Yeah, exactly. And I would love to know your thoughts on this, because I think this is a huge part of it, is taking risk. Because, we have to, once we manifest something, everything comes with a risk and change. So in order to reach that manifestation, we have to be willing to take whatever risks are coming along with that and to be comfortable getting uncomfortable in order to change. For us, that was uprooting 3 kids out of our house, finding a temporary housing while this home was being built and moving in that direction, which was scary and a lot of work. But, we were willing to put that forth to get what we wanted. And I think a lot of people, that's what holds them back, is the fear of risk and the fear of change.
Well, like you're saying, when I look at it, you say fear. If we go back probably 3 or 4 years, we probably would have talked ourselves out of it.
Oh yeah.
We would have been like, no, we want to do this, but we don't know about this. Because when we seen the billboard for homes that were being built and everything, we seen where it was, Googled it, came over there, seen where they were starting to clear off land, and then we thought, we just built our old house 2 years ago. Why don't we just go around to the neighborhoods we seen and see if they still have any lots available? And then 20 minutes later, we ran across a new development where there was maybe 10 homes in there. And if you know anything about the housing market, if you get in a neighborhood where there's 10 homes, you're getting in probably at the lowest price that they're going to offer. And,
okay.
Yeah.
That's perfect example. It worked out exactly for you guys. And like you were saying about the risk or that comfort zone, I mean, that's the key. And I feel like honestly at this point, if you don't do it, if you don't step out, you're gonna find yourself stagnant and trapped in that same situation. And it's probably gonna get worse. So it's like this is the perfect time while everything is just wide open to be able to take that risk, to get out of the comfort zone. People are even more, because people, like you say, you'll talk yourself out of it. That's the first thing. Like you have to have the belief that you're even able to do it, or you deserve it. A lot of people feel they don't deserve those type of things. So that's like, that goes into the programming. But that risk in right now where we're at, this is the perfect time. And that's what I've been doing. So I do it at a fast pace now though. So I'm like, I'm just going to keep going and keep doing different things. And it's going to be some type of result there. Maybe not exactly what I wanted, or maybe, a learning lesson, but something's going to come out of that. So that comfort zone is, you can't have it anymore. Unless you like where you're at. If you like where you're at, then it'll be all good. But eventually you got to move. You might be at a job, but you might be about to become a supervisor. You know what I mean? So it's going to be change. You might get a child, anything. So it's risk with life, and that's part of evolution of your life. So
definitely.
That's one thing I hate, because you got a ton of people who just thrive in being complacent. They're happy with what they got going on. They may see you come up sharing everything, what you've been manifesting, and they look at it as one of the things I hate people saying. You share your good news, and they're like, "Ah, man, you're just lucky. You're just lucky." And I'm like, "Man, what does luck got to do with it?"
You don't see all the behind the scenes work that's going into, actually creating this.
Right. Yeah. It takes it, and I had this talk with my wife yesterday, because a lot of people, they think you just, because somebody said something to me that I ain't really like about keep going, or what are you doing to get there? And I'm like, do you not see this work I'm putting in? Do you not see what I've already, got to? And it kind of makes you offended, because the behind the scenes, that it took, you had to branch off from your family. You might have to leave this job. You might have to get criticized because of your views or whatever it is. And then the manifestation comes. And like you said, people say you're lucky. And you may not, you are lucky in a way, because the art of manifestation. You may not, but you have to work even when you're manifesting. It might not just be that same banging your head against the wall that they're doing though. So they don't get it. But that's all.
Exactly. And I think that's a lot of confusion when it comes to the word manifestation too, because I see this all over social media. They're like, I'm manifesting this house, I'm manifesting this job, I'm manifesting whatever it is that they're wanting in their life. But then there's no work being put in to create this reality that you're manifesting. And I think that's the big gap that a lot of people are stuck in, because they believe, if I just see this, if I put it on the vision board, it's going to come true. But you have to put in the work, and you have to be willing to make the changes in order to make that happen. Can you tell us more about that?
Oh yeah, for sure. Manifestation is like a trigger word now, like one of those keywords that everybody's using just to kind of, grab people's attention, and may not know the science behind it. See, me, I'm passionate about why is this happening, or how can I make it better? And that's kind of my role in this whole thing with it. And that may be why on TikTok I've gotten a lot more followers, because I'm not just saying it, I'm breaking it down of what will happen after that, because I've been through it so many times, and I'm doing it as I'm speaking. But like the work part of it, if you go back to the first part when people started talking about the law of attraction, kind of mainstream, was a movie called The Secret. When the movie The Secret came out, it went over the law of attraction and manifesting, and it was kind of like a fluffed up way of saying, oh, you think these thoughts, you can get whatever you want. You could be rich, you could be famous, which you can. But at the same time, they forgot to put the action part in there. Then they even had to come back and come out with another one, which was Beyond The Secret. For the mainstream to be like, hold up, because people were trying to be like, it didn't work. It didn't work. It didn't work because you didn't put the work in. The work is the affirmations. The work is the showing the gratitude. The work is catching yourself thinking negative. The work is writing it out specifically how you want it. And if you're just waking up and looking at a vision board, you'll have some power, but you'll have a lot more power when you put more effort behind it and actionable steps. And people need to know what the steps are. And that's where I come in at in my books and things like that.
Speaking of books, what made you decide to come up with a book or write a book or something like that?
Well, yeah, for sure. Well, I've been writing a long time, like my whole life. I remember I didn't recognize it then, but I used to be in school. Literature was always easy for me. You know what I mean? Math, though, you got me on that. I needed to count myself. You know, they got me on that part. I was able to realize what I was good at and you know, kind of stay in that lane. So when I was in elementary school and middle school, I would win contests, you know, just playing around with it. I'll write stories about a basketball player, some little Coach Carter type stories, something like that. But you know, and then I got older and I started writing on Facebook, you know, just this metaphysical talk and spiritual talk. And that's where, you know, I lost a lot of people, lost some family members. They're back now because they see that it works. But at that time, I lost a lot of people. But then I gained people that was my tribe, a soul tribe, I guess you could say. And they motivated me. It started off as like a Facebook group called Mind Alliance, and that kind of went, but I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just in college and I was reading stuff and I was writing, but now I know the science behind it. So when it came to the point of getting a book, I used a lot of things that I wrote on Facebook previously over the years, and I noticed I was like, I got a book right here. I just got to edit it and format it. And that's when, you know, the steps of a book is more than just writing it, but that was like already written. And I already knew which direction I wanted to go. And then before I knew it, I used my manifestation ability to manifest mind alignment, wake up your stolen greatness through mind power. And y'all's on the way to you all too. I thank y'all. Sure.
Yeah, because when I think about this and hearing your story of, like you said, how it all came about, and in the back of my mind, I'm sitting here thinking, yeah, these ancestors have been whispering to this man, and he's finally starting to feel the message and everything, where it's guiding him in the right direction. Can you speak about your spiritual journey, your awakening, your enlightenment, your whatever term people like to call it nowadays?
Oh yeah, let's get deep. Let's get deep. But yeah, for sure. Like I have a real strong spiritual foundation when it comes to that. And you mentioned that ancestors is a good you know, a good way to put it, because I do things like I meditate very strongly. Like I'm really into meditating, just got certified as a meditation practitioner, and I'm going to be on a new app that's coming, which is Skillar. Where they like on demand, they got experts in different things, DJing, vocal coaches, vegan, you know, chefs, things like that. So you guys might want to check that out, but it's coming 2022. And but yeah, when it goes to that, like when I meditate, a lot of times I can kind of hear a voice in my mind. And it's always been there, but now that I have an understanding of what it possibly can be, maybe my higher self or ancestors or whatever you want to call it, I once I got a science behind it or a better understanding, I use it. And the more I use it, the more that I'm able to, you know, grab people and notice like, this is my purpose. And some of the messages that I get, I don't tell many people this, but some of the messages that I get, I feel as if they are channeled to me. You know, just to get deeper with it, I feel they are channeled because they are needed for specific people at a specific time that I may not believe I can reach or going to get to, such as you all. So it's like when I feel it, I just kind of go with it, and to take myself out of the equation or my ego, and I kind of just let it flow. And at first it was kind of embarrassing because, you know, people don't want to hear that, but now it's like, oh yeah, I'm on my mission and I'm getting. And like I said, with knowledge of self, it goes into, with me being an African American, for one, I got a real strong understanding of my history now. And some of the things that I used to think meant ancestors, I realized that's not who my people were. all throughout history. And that gave me another form of power and confidence in myself to know that, okay, we weren't just slaves. We were, you know, if you guys own that knowledge, but we weren't just slaves. We were, you know, we got ancient history. We were here a long time. We were, you know, we had a lot of fathers of civilization. So I take that and I embody that within myself to know that that's running through my DNA. And that's how I get my power. Because I'm like, if they can do this in that time and then fall so far, it's my responsibility to, you know, resurrect them.
What's going on? It's your boy Yuri here. I'm solo right now, as you can see. Just want to talk to you for a minute. We've partnered up with another brand, another amazing company that's Black owned. It's called King's Crowning, as you can see right there. I got tired of the same old do-rag, especially on my lock journey. I needed something that locks in the moisture, especially when I get a retwist or something like that, where the gel they're putting on my hair and everything to keep these locks busting and beautiful. I'll take it off real quick. It's got this satin inside. It locks in the moisture of your hair and everything. And the best thing about it is it's got this string right here where it's adjustable. My 3 sons have them. So it's great for any size head, so you don't have to worry about it, especially with the do-rag where the string on there where you have to tie it super tight, and it's simple to put on. Simple like this. You can style it any way you want. They have different colors, and for the ones who locks are super long, they have bigger ones where the entire length of the hair will fit inside of it. Once again, it locks in the moisture. It's King's Crowning. Just go to kingscrowning.com. Pick whatever items you may have. They have they have hair care products, great for your hair, especially for your locks. They have shampoo and things like that. And right when you're ready to check out, just enter my discount code, STRONGAF10, STRONGAF10. Check it out.
And if you've been on my TikTok, one of the videos I did, it was with me and my wife. We did like a, you know, I don't want to scare anybody, but a ritual, I guess you could say. Well, we just burned candles and you know, poured libations out there at a slave pillar that was in our city. It's been there since like 1700s. I'm from Augusta, Georgia, so we got a deep Civil War history, deep slave history, the Savannah River, all those different things like that. I'm pretty sure you're familiar being in Carolina. But yeah, Carolina got a lot of history. You know, I just found out about Durham, North Carolina. But it was in the city, and it just kind of was eating at us because it's still there. They called it a haunted pillar. We went over there and did some libations, poured libations, did candles. I made a video. It's on my TikTok, everything. And within like 2 weeks, someone actually hit the pillar. They hit the pillar, a car, and knocked it down. It's been there for hundreds of years, but once we did that, it knocked it down. So I was realizing like it's a power in, you know, acknowledging our ancestors and their pain. And that goes for everybody, Black and white, because it's even with the other side, it's a journey for you all as well, because you have to, you know, go over what your ancestors did and kind of face that to be able to be a better person for humanity yourself. So it's like, it's full circle now. And I love the time that we're in. I love it.
That's the thing, now that you're speaking about that, like as everything, because I'm big on knowledge. I love learning something. You got some people who are too big. They think they know everything. And what you're sharing with them is minimal or something like that. But for me, on my spiritual journey, as I've learned more and more about certain things, like you said, about our history, how the main thing in school, all they teach you is slavery. They teach you that you came from Africa, or like what most people get out of it. Everybody thinks that every Black person is a king or a queen, not knowing that it's even deeper than that. That we were humanity. Our history dates back 5,000 years before the Europeans, before the Greeks. That we had to learn all this stuff in astrology, reading stars, medicine, and pyramids. You get some people who believe that the pyramids were built by aliens or something like that. It just all this knowledge that leads to the Greeks coming over and stealing everything and taking our history and putting it in these museums and stuff like that. But all of this is done for a reason. Like our son, he'll be 10 a couple weeks from now. I share some of this knowledge with him because I don't want to give him too much. Because I got a feeling if I give it all to him, he's just gonna hate the world or something like that. He's just gonna, why did they do that? They're such awful and stuff like this. But the little small things, like when I tell him, he hears stuff like we were out maybe a year ago, and an adult, accidentally nudged into him. It was like, I'm sorry, King. I'm sorry, King. And he's like, why did he call me a king? And then I explained to him. And then later on, he's always asking me, he's like, Dad, why do people say being a king, why be a king when you could be a god? And I'm sitting here thinking, like, you hear stuff like that, I'm like, man, I'm doing something right. that just like touches your spirit and stuff like that. And some people, like, we haven't even mentioned this on this podcast, but I knew with seeing what you are and how you feel about things, I knew we were gonna get there. Because you hear people, you may speak to them like, "What peace, God? How you doing, God?" And you got some folks who may think that's blasphemous, that's sacrilegious or whatever. Who are they thinking that they're this high deity and stuff like that? Not realizing that when I say God, I mean that, what is it? What's the book say? We're made in His image and stuff like that. We have the ability to create life. We have the ability to take life. If that ain't some God shit, I don't know what it is.
Oh yeah, definitely. You're breaking it down now, brother. But yeah, for sure. Like, that aspect comes from, even the Bible. They say ye are gods. You know what I mean? And it's hard to kind of face, you know what I mean? Because we come up under certain upbringings, all of us, in certain religions, maybe our parents were in. And at one point that would have been considered blasphemous because we didn't know nothing else. But now it's becoming more normal. And if you're going to call yourself a God, it comes with responsibility. You know what I mean? So I think I think anytime we can reiterate something positive to each other, it kind of empowers us even more, because before we were getting called whatever someone could think about. Now we're flipping that and taking what we were called and making it into something more for our people and for the world to see, because the world has their view of us because of programming, because of the way that it was taught to them as well. Like me, I went to a predominantly white school, in elementary school, middle school, high school. So that was where I was at, but I was very popular. I had a lot of friends, all colors, everybody, you know what I mean? And I love that because it makes me more diverse. So I'm not like the hardcore, blah, 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 but I realize who I am and what my role is in my ancestral line. And the more I learn about it, the more I know that we were powerful in that. And the more I know that, okay, now I got the power. Now, 2021, what am I going to do so my children can look at that like, oh, that's what Pops was talking about. And like you said, I got a 13-year-old, a 14 and a 7-year-old. So I try to put it on them, but it's like, it's overwhelming, like you said, because it's like they're not gonna like the world, like they're not gonna understand it of why it's like that. I don't want them to be angry. I want you to have your childhood. But I also lately he's been getting in a lot of trouble, the 13-year-old. And our new thing is I had to show him some things that, like, bro, like this is a prison, the pipeline, like the track that you're on, they already got a place for you. You know what I mean? It's already set up. On paperwork, you think you just joking and having fun, but on paperwork, you're looking like, a delinquent, and you keep doing it. You keep doing. They're using different words with him, insubordination, and coming up with these different things, and the counselors talking to him and stuff like that. And other students would just get kicked out probably. They are literally like kicking these kids out of these schools all over small things that we would have just seen as jokes or whatever. They got zero tolerance. So they're getting kicked out. Then you go to alternative school. Then you go to YDC, Youth Detention Center. Then you go to jail. That's pretty much how it goes, or either, you know, be useless to society or low level to society. But the more he's going through, and I'm showing him these things, he's like, I didn't know that existed. I even went over effeminization of the Black male. He was like, I didn't know. I thought tight pants, and I thought they were just cool the way these guys look. And I'm like, no, it's a bigger picture. And our new thing is for him to understand it. I was like, I want to make sure that we always do this. You're not going to fall right into their hands. And I always do that. And he seemed to understand that, like, oh, it's something up against me when I thought I was just having fun and being a kid. No, bro, they own you now. You 13. They're gonna look at you as a man, Black and white, because his teachers are Black, but they're fed up. They're on the edge, so they like, get out. That's all they do.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's on me too, because I need to put them in a better school system. But we're working on that. I'm manifesting that as we speak. But yeah, I noticed like those teachers, and to be a parent, and you like you being a Black father and you being a white mother and being there for your children and representing, that is powerful, because a lot of these kids don't have nobody, and these teachers are just doing them any kind of way. They were like, they were like, we're gonna kick him out. We tired of him. But then they was like, I didn't know who his dad was. I didn't speak to you yet. Now that I speak to you, I'm gonna call you when he out of line. They only had to call me once since then. Because he had somebody behind him. But if he didn't, she was like, if he didn't, I was just gonna kick him out. And then, you know, the court, and she started telling me stuff. She was like, yeah, they actually give us tests to get to these students to see which ones are going towards prison. They got actual tests for this. This is what they're giving the counselors in a predominantly Black schools. You know what I mean? So it's like, bro, this is like deep. And she said that in front of him. And she said when they get in trouble in the future, they'll come back to her and ask them how he was in middle school. So it's like, it's a lot of layers to that. Yeah. But when so to be in your kids' life, that's all I can say, and protect them, because they're not being protected by the teachers. And I don't blame the teachers, because some parents don't care, so they just like whatever. But if you got parents that care, they try a little harder, I see, because they know you coming with it.
Yeah, I agree. I think in general, the entire school system needs a lot of work. It's not all on the teachers, because first of all, the teachers are being paid very minimal. They're being overworked. They have too many students, especially with population growth. Like in our area, the kids barely have a place to eat lunch for some of these schools because they're so overpopulated. They have like 6 lunches, hardly any time to eat, barely a place to eat. So it's not on the teachers, it's the entire school system in general, which is a lot of reason why we pulled our kids out of school and now homeschool. But I think there needs to be a complete reform of the education system all over. Right. And I can tell you right now that as a white woman, I have been ignorant, and I'm still ignorant on a lot of things, but I'm doing my best to learn. And especially over the past 2 years, I think that's when it really hit me, because I was like, you know, everything happening in 2020, we saw the riots, and we had George Floyd, and we've had everything going on politically. Everything's a political stance now. It's not, you know, but to me, it's not political. It's a humane stance. And I've been seeing this, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I never knew that's what happened. Like I never learned that in school, you know? And so that really led to our decision of homeschooling, because I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, yeah, I went to school, I got good grades, but it meant nothing. I know nothing about what actually happened, nothing about the history. What I learned is not helping anyone. So how do I change that for my kids so that they understand and they have a better concept of who they are and where they came from, and not just, like you were talking about, they're not just slaves. So that's not their past, especially me raising 3 Black boys and being married to a Black man. You know, I need a deeper understanding so I can present that. And even for me, that's even going to my friends. So I have a very close friend who she's like, Ashley, you just need pictures of Black figures in your home. You need, like different things, artists, historical figures, people who have been very influential, so that you can show your kids like this is normalized, So that's been a big change for me.
Yeah, because speaking on that, because I can remember as everything I'm learning and stuff like that, and reading these books, reading Nile Valley Contributions to Civilization and all kind of these books, and learning all this information. And in the back of my mind, I'm sitting here thinking, how do I share this with my white wife? Is she going to be accepting of this? Is she going to think I'm reading some voodoo type of witchcraft and stuff like that? But then as I start to share stuff with her, she's like, oh my goodness. She's like, yeah. She's always questioned some of this stuff. Like we go back to religion. Being a Baptist, you go to church and you may read some of this stuff in the Bible. Like at the very beginning, I'll give an example I always share with people. You get Adam and Eve. They had their kids, and then their kids went off to marry these mystery people. These mystery people that just popped up out of nowhere.
Exactly. And to me, like especially growing up deep south in the country, it's and from being from Georgia, so it's.
I told you where I went.
I completely understand. Like culture is different even across the U.S., but especially in our area, to come out and question, right? Because it's fire and brimstone at church every Sunday. Like that's all. It's fear based. It's not inspirational, motivational. It's all fear based. And that too, to me, especially after learning more, is also programming, because you're teaching everyone to, the only way to make you do what I want you to do is fear. And that's changed the way that we raise our kids. That's changed the way that we have consequences at home. That's changed all of this because we want them to respect us and to respect others because we're kind humans, not because you're scared. And because that leads to just following the pack and not doing what you really believe is right.
Herd mentality for sure. And that I appreciate you even putting that out there, as a white woman and your fight, because I like to hear that. Because I don't want to be one-sided. I don't want to be, looking at it like, okay, they're not, because that's what I'm noticing. Like I told my lady, I was like, it's a lot of white women following me. Like it was overwhelming. It was like, what, y'all want to hear what I'm saying and the things that I'm talking about? But then I thought to myself, I'm like, everybody, like you said, it's a human thing. Everybody want to know the truth. Everybody's coming up, we're waking up. A lot of people, some people can stay ignorant, as we see. They still have their same way of thinking and being, but they're not the dominant ones anymore. So it's going to come a point where you, with all that hate, you can go in the closet. You can go in the shadows. You're going to have to do that on your own, where before it was more blatant and you can do it. Of course, we got a long way to go, as you see with the judicial system and the school systems. But as far as just like an average person nowadays want to know more. And some of those things hard to swallow, because I believe I even watched it on your page, your guys' Facebook page. The lady was on there talking about Kemet. And she was a white woman. I was just listening. I was like, she owned it. And the fact that she was just really able to understand what we've been trying to say the whole time. It's like, we get called this, we got called this the whole time. And then we find out the same way that you guys are finding out now because of the internet and information age. We finding out at the same time. And we like, what?
Yeah.
Okay, this whole time I've been thinking I was a slave. I've been thinking I was the N-word or whatever, whatever it may be. And then I find out like that is a crazy thing to think about, that the very people that you enslaved and treated so bad were the people that told you how to do it. And that's kind of our natural spirit, though. we share. If you really understand, I'm pretty sure you know that now. If you really understand, but we got a heart out of this world, and we'll share, and we want people to know things that we have, and we like, okay, you got this, and then they say, you stab us in the back, we throw it off. We didn't expect that, because we don't think like that. Of course, it was wars during that time and enemies. You never can get past that. That's going to be within your own community too, black or white, whatever it may be. But at the same time, our depth of us and our soul is to give music, give dance, express ourselves. We get you shoot somebody's son, they forgiving the officer. You know what I mean? Because it's in us. We don't really have that. Some people do, but for the most part, we're not really like inhumane where we'll do some just crazy things for no reason, like we've seen in history with so many white people or European in the past. Some of the things were just like, why did you even go that far? Even if you didn't like me, why did you have to bomb my town? You know what I mean? So it's like that part really got me to moving, and knew that it wasn't over, and this is a new shift. The fact that we got this information, we can build different. We can build a school system.
As you guys know, we love our CMOS, and we take this supplement every day because it contains 92 of the 100 essential vitamins and minerals that the body needs. And especially as a vegan who, we hear all the time, you're not getting what you need.
Protein.
Guess what? This has the iron. This has your vitamins and your minerals. Everything that your body is craving and asking you for is in this. Okay. So here is just a couple of the products. If you can see, if you're listening to the podcast, we've got the CMOS Advanced Superfood and the Black Seed Extract here with us. There's also a CMOS gel that you can get that is wild crafted. And this is from infiniteage.com from the co-founder, John Carlisle, which we decided to pair up with. Yeah,
because we love everything they envision. It's Black owned. They have goals of helping to educate the Black community to healthier options, and that really resonates with both of us, and we believe in them, and we want to bring something to our listeners and followers that we believe in and that we use ourselves. So
exactly. And as you know, our stories, like we have both had issues with pain, inflammation, and this has been a miracle worker for us. And we just want to be able to provide our listeners with the same thing that we're getting. And that's why we're excited to be able to offer you a 10% discount on your order when you use code STRONGAF10 at checkout. That's STRONGAF10.
The number 2.
Exactly.
10.
STRONGAF10.
10.
So be sure to go on to infiniteage.com and get that.
Infiniteage.com.
You guys can show an interracial couple that's thriving and different things like that, because some people still in a box with that. You know what I mean?
We know. We've experienced.
Okay, they're still in a box with that. And then when you go to the knowledge, a lot of times, and I'm pretty sure, bro, feel me on this, when you go to the knowledge, a lot of times it's just blaming white people for everything. You know what I mean? But we passed that. We know the history. We know what happened. Now let's build on that. And let's use what we know now with each other to make it into something that everybody can participate in, because coming in like what they say, like 2050 to 2060, everybody's probably gonna look like your children look for the most part, because of the fact that interracial dating and European birth rate is down. Just being honest, and they say that it's predicted that most people will look almost mixed or like have lighter skin. So that we're a part of a lot of different things. You can't look at just the skin. Like I probably would look back in my ancestry and find different things that I didn't know. And I'm doing that as I speak. But right now I'm at the point of just looking at like what happened in Georgia, because a lot of my stuff goes back to that's towns that are here now. were towns that were built off of my ancestors back, because this, like, it's a town here that's actually, well, it was called my last name, which is Leverett, and the town was named Leverett. You know, it's called like I forgot. I can't believe I forgot, because I always think about Leverett, Georgia now, but it was like Winfield, I think it was, or somewhere around there, Lincolnton, Georgia. But it was called Leverett, Georgia, because the slave master, you know, they ran the town, and that blew my mind. And I was like, we went but like 40 miles away from that, and we're nothing but like 3 generations out of that. So I'm like, and it blows my mind. In Augusta, with all this history in the South, if people haven't been to the South, you should come here, because you could really experience what was really there. You can still see these buildings standing. You can still see these cornfields in front of your house, where I stayed at one point. So it's like, it's real empowering to see actually what happened, because it gives you a view of it. I seen the slave houses, I seen all of that, and I go to these places to release my ancestors and to feel what's going to come over me, you know. But yeah, this is a good time we're in to be able to do those things and be able to express yourself and get to the masses. And then white, black, you know, red, whatever it may be, it's good for you to stick your foot out there. And I commend you for doing that, and I also commend you, brother, for even learning that, because a lot of times people that do have maybe a white wife or anything, they're out of sync with their culture, because they feel like they're not going to feel me because of this. But you guys are taking a big step, and I know I'm doing a lot of talking, but back to what you were saying with your the pictures on the wall. That was powerful, because that goes back into the book. We can go back now to programming, and what you see is what you're going to get out of yourself. And if they never seen that, or if they wait too long to see it, they'll be behind. And if they're coming out of the woodworks like that, can't nobody tell them nothing. When they get about 25, ain't nobody tell them. They getting it directly from the source. They got it from their mom, they got it from their dad. They know hate, they know love, and they're not going to be able to be told anything, because they're programmed. We weren't like that. We're doing reprogramming and have to go backwards. Where we should.
So hard.
Yeah, we should be way further. We all should be way further, but it was something there. It was a hidden hand. Like I tell my son, it's a hand, and we didn't even know it existed. We just thought this is what it was. And now that we know it's existing, it's like, let me fight back. And the way to fight back is learning and reprogramming yourself, and not accepting the matrix that they tried to give us, because it's all a matrix, even when we go to this next level. But now you realize you got power in this matrix.
Yeah.
Now that you mentioned the next level, I want to dive into 5D.
Okay.
Hey, can you explain to people, to our listeners, what that may be, what 5D is?
Yeah, for sure. So basically, they say that the planet is shifting. The planet is vibrating at a higher rate. You know, science can prove this. When you go into like the Schumann resonance field and you see how the planet vibrates, and that sound and different things like that, it's speeding up. You'll see this with the weather changes. You see this with the earthquakes. You know, an earthquake is just the land moving. So things are happening at a fast pace. And what the ancients believed, because you go back and you'll see that this was prophesied these very times, even the slavery aspect of it, even the aspect of us going to sleep and to the point of waking up was part of the prophecy. That's why the pyramids are still there. That's why it's still written on the wall. That's why that text is there. They call it the precision of the equinox. When we get to certain points that the planet is at, it affects human consciousness. Now, where we're at now, they say, you know, a lot of people say 2012, and you keep hearing these things. You don't even have to know these dates. You can look outside and see it. Like, it's really happening. We went through a whole shutdown, the world changing, the economic system's changing, the way we communicate is changing, the way our mindsets are is changing, the way schooling's done is changing. It's at the beginning stages, but it's a rapid change. And that's what they say is like 5D consciousness, because they say that it's not an actual, at one point people thought we were going to like just shift to another place or something. You know, like kind of like how Jesus is just supposed to come out the sky and save us. We
Mhm.
kind of had that mindset, but we're not going anywhere. We're not going to, we got a lot to do. This planet might be another thousands of years. We won't even
Mhm.
see what's really, we're like a speck in time, but we play a big role on what's next, because we all are manifesting collectively. And that's where you go into 5D. And that's where it goes into, like I said, like the dominant thought process is people like us that's learning now, that's trying to wake up. I've met, let me take that back, because when I go outside, it's some pretty ignorant people still. But for the most part, on the internet and the way people, what things that people are talking about, they never talked about it before. So
Mhm.
when you go into 5D, the ways to, just because I made a video about the signs that you may be experiencing like 5D consciousness. And it's things like what we've been talking about. You have a thirst for knowledge now. You want to know now. Like you're going way harder on getting the knowledge about yourself and history and people. You may have, you like we were talking about earlier, we pretty much covered it all. Like we were saying early, manifest faster. Things are coming to you quicker. You know, you may have more spiritual experiences. You may realize that you actually have spiritual gifts. And it's a natural thing that may have been shut down away from you because you didn't even know it was even a gift or existed, you know. And you might have a, you know, a thirst for different type of food, you know, like you guys talk about. You start looking at you disconnect from some of the things that you used to be into, get more boundaries set. You don't just take people for, you know, you just don't just take anything anymore. You might feel stronger and confident in yourself. These are all parts of your consciousness shifting to another level. And it's just at the beginning point. Probably thousands of years from now, we might be floating for all we know. But right now, you know, we'll settle with telepathy. We'll settle with, oh, I'm getting insights. I'm closer to my intuition. We'll settle for that because we only use a small portion of our brains, and that could be shut down on purpose. And now we're tapping into that because we know it exists, and because it's not a fairy tale any longer, because you see people doing it, such as myself, such as y'all. So it's a beautiful time. And that's what 5D, when they say that, they're meaning a state of mind or a state of consciousness, not an actual place that we're going to go to. And some people are going to be on the old timeline and it's going to still exist. And just to kind of break that down with the old timeline, it goes back to the people that are complacent or comfortable. They might complain, but they're not doing anything to change it. And right now it's wide open. So it's like the way I broke it down with because they call this the Aquarian age. And before that, it was the Pisces age, where it was ruled by fear. It was ruled by force. It was ruled by lies. It was ruled by manipulation. Now we're going into where it's more so ruled by love, or ruled by, knowledge of God within you instead of God outside of you. And that's where we're at in history. But people have to realize, as I want to tell the audience this, is that we're right now where we're at is wide open. So you can do those things. You can take those chances, and you can go get your podcast started, go get a book, go start a new job, make your own job, whatever you want to do the artwork, because it's a space for that right now. But as you see, when you look at politics and other things, that still want you to get the vaccine and trying to control you. So it's about to close, and it's going to be those people behind the gate still in that 3D complaining, where we're going to be over here not even really noticing that anymore. Like our mind states are not going to bring that into our universe as much as it used to do, because we crossed that threshold. And that's what I think we're at, though. A lot of people are going to get there. Like, I think it's going to be like a 5-year time where we got this time to like do what we need to do, get ourselves right. And then it's going to be like, which side of the gate you're on. And some people are going to get stuck on the other side because of ignorance.
Yeah, like you said, the Matrix,
Yeah,
red or blue pill, which pill are you going to take?
That's the easiest breakdown. And I'll go into that real quick, because I actually was able to interview because I was doing interviews at one point, and I was able to interview the original writer of The Matrix.
Wow.
And she's a Black woman. Sophia, I don't want to make her name wrong. I'm sorry. Just look up the original writer of the Matrix, because they stole her script and they made the movie. That's another example of how it was for us. But she ended up suing them. She got money for that, or she's working on getting the money for it. But I was able to talk to her, and I just was like, what made you think of this, or where did the Matrix come from, that idea? And she said the Matrix is actually from the Bible, because it means female womb, like an opening or like a portal, I guess you would say. That's the way she's using it. But she said that she was like, the main thing that you have right now is a choice. Like the main thing you have, you can choose what you want to do. Now you might have people up against you. That job might be like, we're gonna fire you, but you still have a choice of what you want to do. And she was like, that is all it breaks down to at the end of the day. You're here for an experience, and you get to choose what you want to do. And I got that directly from the source. It was like I was talking to the oracle herself. She was strong, and she don't play no games either. And if you look her up, you'll listen to her message. And she wrote the Terminator as well.
That's going to be my next question. I believe I've seen the video where she talks about how those connect, the Terminator into the Matrix and everything. So.
Yeah, she was, I can't remember because I ain't seen the Terminator in a long time, but she was like, it was even supposed to connect with like who Neo was to who, like the mother in the Terminator. It's like a deeper aspect to it, and she's supposed to be working on the fourth one that they're coming out with. She's supposed to be a part of that. So this might be a whole nother different type of movie. But that movie is like philosophical in so many ways, and it comes from old ancient Greek philosophies and things like that, like Plato and stuff like that, like allegory of the cave, and people, being in a cave their whole life and seeing shadows on the wall, not knowing what it is. Then one person wakes up, find out what it is, try to tell the other people, and they try to take them out, basically. And that's how it goes. But yeah, that's I don't even know how we got to the Matrix, but
we're in it.
Yeah, we in it. Oh yeah, because it was a choice. You got a choice. Yeah. That was the key. That's it. Yep.
Ricky, it has been absolutely amazing. And you have no idea like how much we appreciate you taking the time to come on here and talk to us and also our listeners. But, to be honest, the reason we love doing these interviews is a lot for us, because it's interesting for us to be able to come on here and get other perspectives and other learnings, and then also to be able to share those with our listeners. So definitely appreciated. But can you tell everyone where we can find you and how they can link up and listen to your videos?
Yeah, for sure. I got a TikTok now, over 50,000 followers randomly, but it's Prestige Speaks. That's Prestige Speaks, SPEAKS. I got a website that is coming January 2022. It's going to be a metaphysical wellness store with literature from other authors and my books as well. Some of the older, law of attraction, new thought books and different things like that. That's going to be www.mindalign369.com. You can also follow me on Facebook at Ricky Prestige Leverett Jr. And my book right now, it is available on Amazon. That's Mind Alignment, Wake Up Your Stolen Greatness Through Mind Power. And I just recently released a workbook, which is Mind Alignment Manifestation Workbook. And it goes along with that. It goes into like decluttering the mind, stress management, manifestation methods, and how to meditate, visualization practices, and different things like that. And one last thing, because I got a lot going on, but we got the children's book, as well as my wife. She has a children's book too about self-love and meditation. And it's an African-American children's book, Amir's Hidden Superpower, a book about mind power. And it just goes into like an elementary way of explaining the power of your mind to the children.
That's awesome.
Yes, sir.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you again for coming on. We're going to have all the links so all of our listeners can follow and also find your books, Ricky. And we hope you have an amazing day.
You as well. And I thank you all, and keep up the good work. I appreciate the platform.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.